there was a Sikh high school student standing in a fire drill. We all know what a fire drill is, right? So we stand in lines and we act out what was going to happen if a fire happened in a school. So this Sikh student was standing in a line, and he's minding his own business in one line, and a Gora kid from another line comes up behind him and lights the partka on fire. And this happened in a fire drill in a school where there are adults supervising students, and this Gora kid comes from behind another line and lights the partka on fire, and that's where those singe marks are on the partka. So this was an older case. Another case, this happened in 2008. Karanveer Singh was studying it again in New York, and he also was physically assaulted. He was beaten up severely, and simply because he looked different, he wore a partka. Now, I mentioned a lot about the Sikh boys because we stand out. We wear our partkas, our the stars, but we cannot forget about our Gors, our Sikh girls, our Sikh women, because they're also equally vulnerable to bullying, to harassment, to physical assault. So this case was Gurpreet Kaur when she was in elementary school, I believe, and she was sitting just like we are today, and a student comes up from behind her and cuts her hair. And she doesn't realize her hair is cut until school is over and a friend of hers comes up and says, listen, Gurpreet, I think someone cut your hair. And this was all while in class. The teacher is standing right in front, and some kid comes up behind her and cuts her hair without her knowing. So our Sikh girls are equally vulnerable, and this happens to everyone regardless of gender. So it's not just Sikh boys that get physically assaulted and bullied, it's also our Sikh girls. So that's why my book is geared towards everyone regardless of who we are, our backgrounds, our faiths, our genders, etc. So those are just three or four cases I've highlighted. The list goes on, and this is what gives my book substance. So my solutions that I offer are ways to prevent these instances from happening and how we can overcome them. So Sikhs have been in America since 1899. That's over 100 years, and that's what startles me, is that we've had such a long history in America, and still we get harassed, we still get physically assaulted. And Rajdeep Singh from Sikh Coalition put it very nicely. He said, Sikhs are the most visible people in this country, yet we become the most invisible. And that is, it's true. So what I've seen in all of this, I think fear is holding our community back. That means, like my dad was mentioning yesterday at the picnic, our parents keep telling kids, "Bacha, just go to school, come back, get good grades, that's it." We can't do that. We have to push them, let them do what they have to do, and we have to take that risk. If we do not take that risk, then we're losing out. So the first bullet point is that the stars are off and the trophies are on, which means this goes back to 9/11, when 9/11 happened. I was very young then, and I noticed that Sikhs were afraid. I can tell you a story. In our community where we live, my dad was the only Sikh man going out of his way to make sure that everyone was okay. He went to the nearest police station and offered his help, while all other Sikh families were hiding. They were afraid. We went out, we told our townspeople that we're here to help, what can we do? So it's taking that step to offer your service is what we need to do. And for our Sikh kids, it's what others think of us. We can't do that. We can't keep thinking what our Gore friends are going to be thinking about our partkas, our long hair. Just be you. We're here in this country. We have a right. The First Amendment of the Constitution in America states freedom of religion. So don't be afraid of practicing your faith freely, because we have that right in this country. Unlike India, you do not have that right. So that we have to make use of it. The last bullet point, it's in Punjabi, it says "Koi gal nahi putter." What this means is, when I go to Gurdwara, when I've been going to Khalsa school regularly in my Gurdwara, I would ask questions to the uncles in the Sangat. For example, I would be sitting in the Divan hall, and I would see members of the Sangat, after they Matha take, they would go and start making chakkars around the Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And I would ask an uncle, why are they doing this? Aren't you supposed to just Matha take and that's it? And then, majority of the time, the answer I got back was, and they would push me away. That's not right. Like we mentioned yesterday, the word Sikh in English means student. So it's our #1 job to ask our elders questions. And if they do not know the answer, then they should tell us that they do not know the answer, and they'll find out for us. They can't say, Bash Poch Manu, and that's it. Because then we're losing out. We're not learning about our faith. We're not learning about these hypocrisies that are happening in our community and in our faith that shouldn't be happening. So we have to fix that. So the first solution, how do we take a risk? So this story was when I was about 9-10 years old. This was taken in Seven? Okay, 7, thank you. This was taken in South India, and I'm there with my chachaji, and we're in a jungle. This is, there's no banda around for miles. The only things that are there are tigers, wild tigers. There's 8-foot-long king cobras. There's leeches and all sorts of जानवर. So, and my dad was back here in America. I flew out to India by myself, and my dad knew that we would be hiking and trekking because that's what we like to do. We're really outdoorsy type people. So, this area, that hut is where we stayed at, and as you can see, there's no door there. And so one night, after we did our campfire, we were sleeping in that hut, and this is around 10 or 11 o'clock at night. We hear a tiger roar, and this tiger is about 10 feet from the hut. And can everyone see this orange circle here? Can you spot the tiger? Okay, so that tiger was 10 feet from the hut, and what could have happened was either two things. Either the tiger, after killing whatever he had to kill in the jungle, he could have walked up and come right through the door, because that door is not built for humans. I mean, it's a lower level door, so that it's enough space for the tiger to come in and take care of us. But that's a risk we took, and luckily that didn't happen. And in this forest, there's no weapons allowed. You can't have guns for protection. The only thing you can have are wooden sticks and cameras and binoculars. So that's a risk my dad took, and he knew that we'd be going out to a jungle, no protection, wild animals everywhere, but he took that risk and everything turned out fine. It was a great experience. I mean, no one can say they heard a tiger roar in the wild, except in zoos here in America, so it's definitely worth it. I know, who does karate here? Raise your hand again. How many kids do we have? 1, 2, okay. Anyone else? No one else does karate? Okay, so, good job. So, martial arts, what that did for me was, I started when I was about 3 years old, and I've done it for 14 years now, and it's given me confidence, it's given me self-esteem, all these qualities that we need to stand up to bullies, stand up to obstacles in our lives. And I'm not advocating for physically assaulting people or getting physical when the time comes. This is only for that second option, that last defense, that last resort. So remember we talked about the 3 golden rule? That's if a bully picks on you once, you let it go. The second time, it doesn't stop. The third time, they don't stop. That's when you resort to the martial arts or taking matters into your own hands. So the next solution is getting involved in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. This is a picture taken back in 2010, and this was in Maine. We talked about my Maine trip yesterday. And what's happening here in this picture is my friend is passed out from heat stroke, and at this time I was new to scouting and I had no clue how to treat heat stroke, and no one was helping me out. As you can see, the shoes on the top right of this picture is of someone supervising the scenario, so he's not helping me at all, and I'm there trying to figure out how to wake my friend up. So what this taught me was how to think on the spot, which helps crucially in scenarios when we're dealing with bullies, because when a bully picks on you, you're not ready for it. You have to think on the spot. So that's what scouting teaches you, is how to stand up for yourself, how to think on the spot, and eventually I did manage to wake him up. He was fine. So that's what scouting teaches you. So this was taken at that program I mentioned yesterday where I went to Boise State, and there were 1,000 kids from across the state of New Jersey in one campus at Rider University. And these 2 gentlemen were some of the Marines stationed there for security purposes, because there's 1,000 high school juniors. And so these 2 Marines would train us. They would hold exercises. And what I did was, because of martial arts, I I trained them as well. So by the end of the program, it was a week-long program, they became some of my best friends, and they looked out for me and everything. It was a great time. So this picture was taken in my room, and the three kids you see here are some of my friends. And the story behind this is we had a study group in high school, and these three kids came over to study. And towards the end of our studying session, one of them asks, "So Karanveer, I've always been curious about your faith. Can you tell me about the significance of your turban and why you wear it?" So I told him, "Okay, let's come upstairs and I'll show you." So we went inside my room. I pulled out 3 bugs and I put them on a bed. And the first kid who I'm pointing at said, "Ooh, can I tie a turban?" And I said, "Sure." So we started tying it on him. And as I was tying the bug, I was explaining to him why we wear the bug, what it means. All right. So after I explained how to tie the bug on him, the 2 other kids also got curious. They also started. They also wanted their bugs tied. So why I'm mentioning this scenario is that we have to encourage interfaith learning. We have to encourage not just sticking in our own sangat, in our own circle, but getting out of it and going into the different communities in America and explaining to these folks why our faith is so important, so great. And we have to just go in and we have to learn about each other, and that's how we build up, and that's how we become strong Sikhs, is by splitting to others who we are and making that bond stronger. So because I love outdoors, I usually shop at REI. REI is an outdoor store, and this picture was taken at that store, and the gentleman who I'm standing with, he was a customer at the store, and as I walked in, I'm looking at stuff, and loudly I hear Jardi Blah, and I'm taken aback. There's no Sikh around in the store who could have said Jardi Blah. My dad couldn't have said it because he was not in the store yet. So 2 minutes after I heard Jardi Blah in this store, I look around and I see this Gora guy coming towards me, and turns out he was the one that said Jardi Blah. And I was like, "Whoa, you said it? How do you learn about that?" And then he told me he actually read about Sikhi online. He read about who we are. He was really passionate about the martial spirit of Sikhi. So that's where Jardi Blah came in, and he told me about his learning. And even though he's a devout Catholic, you can see the cross in his neck, he took the initiative to go out and learn about another religion. And that's what gave me so much inspiration and encouragement. So this picture was a while back at a neighbor's house, and because I'm involved in politics, this was during a campaign season, and the story about this picture is I get dropped off, and as you can see, my gatra is outside, and my kirpan is visible, and when I was getting dropped off, my dad said, "You better hide your kirpan, you don't know what these guys are going to say." But I said, "Don't worry, Dad, make it yogi." So my dad drops me off, I go in, and obviously the first question I get is, "Why is there a dagger on your side?" And instead of getting all taken aback, I calmly told them, let's sit down on your table here. Any of you guys want Cokes? And this one guy was short. So I brought them drinks, and I sat them down, and I said, "Listen, so have you seen police officers in our town wear pistols?" They're like, "Yes." So I said, this kirpan right here is the Sikh pistol, and what I mean by that is it's not a weapon of offense. It's not there to go out and start stabbing people. It's there to remind a Sikh of his or her duty to stand up for others, to make sure that everyone else is going to be okay. And by the end of my explanation, the gentleman who had questioned me, because this was the homeowner, he had questioned me about my kirpan. He was in tears. He was emotional. He had no clue about the significance of the kirpan, what it means, what it stood for. So the story behind this is, if we do not educate our kids about our faith, our articles of faith, then they're not going to be able to handle themselves in these scenarios, in these situations. So once we're knowledgeable, then only can we handle ourselves if these cases come up. The next is surround yourself with good sangat. What I mean by that is growing up, if I had not been surrounded by good Sikh friends of mine, then I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't have taken Amrit, and I wouldn't have been on the path I am. So if we surround ourselves with people that we want to grow up to be like, then only can we better ourselves, and only can we truly be who we are. So one question I was asked, or one topic I was asked to talk about was, who's going to college soon? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3.
Here.
Okay, back there. Okay, so my college experience. So who's going to be staying at college on campus? Who's going to be Who's going to be commuting to college? No. Is everyone staying on campus? Okay, so I go to Rutgers Camden, and I had a choice. I could either stay on campus or I could have stayed home, and I chose to stay home. And the reason for that was, firstly, it was convenient. You have to look into all the factors. Because it was convenient, I said it's only a 15-minute train ride, so I stayed home. And also, if we're on campus, then I couldn't do the things I do today. So, for example, doing internships, doing extracurricular activities, the scouting I'm involved in, and doing this activism type work, going to schools, going to gurdwaras, and speaking. So look into all the factors, look into what you want to do, because if you're on campus, then you can't necessarily do everything that you want to do because you're stuck on campus. So look into all that before you make the decision. So solutions for parents, because there are some parents in the audience. My dad hit most of the points yesterday, but to refresh, we have to be good role models for our kids, because I can tell you from experience, I wouldn't have written a book if I didn't see my dad coming home every day from work and writing on his own. It takes the parents' initiative to change their kids' lives for the better. So seeing my dad come home every day and write passionately is what made me decide, hey, if my dad can write, so can I. So be there for your kids, and for the budget, get involved, do everything you can do, whether that's sports, whether that's clubs, whether that's anything school related. So I did track and cross country in high school, and what that did for me was, if there were any kids that had any issues about my Bartka, or they didn't know about who I was, when they saw a kid with a white Bartka running around the track, they automatically knew that this kid is cool, this kid is one of us. And because I wore the star of school, so I would go, before my track started, I would go into the locker room and I would take my star off. I would show all my track mates my lambe val, how long my hair was, and everyone got to see it's just hair underneath here. It's nothing, there's no bomb. This is a weapon of mass education, it's not a WMD. So they all realized that, and they understood. So some statistics. So I started this in my junior year of high school, writing the book, and I got the idea from an AP psychology class, which a requirement was to create like a capstone project, which is essentially, when you graduate high school, what do you leave high school with? So I was like, what can I do to make a difference? And I decided, because of all these stories I've been hearing about the dhakashahi happening in the community, the bullying, I decided to work on that for my project. So to create substance for the book, because this was a book coming from a high school student, I did a survey of 997 school children across America. So that's at all the gurdwaras. I asked the Sikh kids to answer some questions. So this question here is, why do you think you get bullied? Majority of them said they're bullied because they're the star, their Bartka, or their Gayski. So, and then it was their gays, which was next, and then other things. So this question alone motivated me, because, as I mentioned earlier, we have a right in this country to stand out. We have a right in this country to practice the way we want to be, and still kids are under that stress of being different, of standing out and practicing their faith. So we have to change that. So this is the book, and I published it in 2015. It is available on Amazon. So what can we do, because there are a lot of young Sikhs here, what can we do to make a difference? So who's on social media? Raise your hands. Who Who has Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook? Okay, good show. Okay, so how many of your parents say restrict your social media, be careful, don't do any bad things on it? Raise your hands. Who gets lectures about social media? Raise your hands. Don't be shy. Okay, more hands. Okay, good. So what I've done with my social media is I've made it a benefit, a tool for me in my life. So a lot of times we hear about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is kids on these various social media platforms picking on kids either because of their gender, their faith, or the way they look. So I've taken it and I've made it a positive thing. So that's every talk I do, I usually put it up on social media, and kids, my friends, and people that follow me simply because of my platform, they all see the work that I do, and they all see that the good things I'm doing, and I also use it to promote Sikhi. So any cool things Sikhi related, I usually post it on there. And this is what I do, but if you guys do something cool that I do not do, that's what you use your platform for, is to share it with others, is to make a difference, and you can do this through the internet. The internet is literally the most powerful tool we have. It's literally on our fingertips. So we should use that to our advantage. We have to market ourselves. We're not marketing ourselves fully. We're just going to school, we're doing our own thing, we're stuck in our own dunya. We have to step out of it, we have to wake up, and we have to realize that we have all these tools, we have to take advantage of it. So if that's getting on social media and promoting Sikhi, that's one way we can all make a difference as kids. But obviously, grades comes first. I'd like to end with Sikhi di bale bale and bullying di thale thale. So this was taken at a national bullying conference that I went to in Florida, and these are some of the pictures I posted on social media, and these were some cops from the local township, and they eventually got their bugs tied. It was a great experience. More pictures here. And these are all, see, everyone's smiling here. Today, if you go to a young Sikh kid and you ask him to tie the star on, he goes to his dad and complains, these non-Sikhs right here are tying pugs, they're smiling, they're cheering, and they're not complaining one bit. But in our community today, we have kids my age saying, I want to wear a topi and go to school. So that's a shocking fact that's happening in our Gong today. So more pictures here, and right. So this is more information. So I started in November 2014. I had it reviewed by professors, some teachers, and I interviewed several child psychiatrists and psychologists because this was a book that I included some interviews with child psychiatrists and psychologists to ask, to question how does bullying affect students post-traumatic stress disorder, how does it affect them mentally, because every day if a Sikh kid goes to school and gets constantly bullied, it takes a toll on their mind, it takes a toll on them as a person. So I asked those questions to these psychiatrists, and their answers are provided in the book, so you can take a look in the book about those interviews. So the goal of this book now is to get it into the hands of those people that can make a difference in America, and those are the teachers in our schools, those are the educators, there's a whole list here. And this is not a small thing, this is a huge thing, and all this, mailing it out to all the congressmen and senators in Washington, D.C., or the school psychology associations in America, it all takes paisa, money, and the cost of getting this book to the hands of the right people is about $18,000. So this is something that I'm working on to get my book into the hands of the right people so they can read the book, because the book is a tool. So in the first part of the book, I talk about Sikh history, which is how to get educated about Sikhi. Then I talk about my bullying experience, my solutions, and then I end the book with the interviews and the statistics. So that's the objective of the book. And any questions?
Can you check something